Why do you say the sun rising from the west is symbolic when the Quran confirms in 3 ayats, Surah Rad, Surah Fatir, Surah Yasin, that the sun runs its course for a term appointed or for a period determined? So if the Quran says Allah's creation does not change, is this statement not irrelevant to this subject?
Well, you have to show me in the Quran where Allah says in the Quran that the sun rises from the west. Why don't you cause it to rise from the east? This is Ibrahim alayhi salam confronting the king. And Ibrahim alayhi salam says in the Quran, I believe you must be familiar with it. This is, plain and clear and direct language. I don't think Ibrahim alayhi salam was making a mistake. He said to the king, the sun rises from the east. Why don't you cause it to rise from the west? Meaning, the natural order, the one which Allah has ordained, is the sun rising from the east. And the rival to the natural order is the one that he suggests, come on, let it rise from the west. If Dajjal wants to be a rival to the truth, then Dajjal will have to cause the sun to rise from the west. And I say he's already done that. Because a literal explanation or understanding of the sun rising from the west is not possible. It is in conflict with the Quran because Allah says, La tabdila li khalqillah. Allah's creation does not change. What is Allah's creation? But I just said it. I just said it. Allah's creation is one in which the sun rises from the east and it sets in the west. I don't know whether I have to use another language to explain it. That's what the Quran says. The natural order of Allah's creation is that the sun rises from the east and sets in the west. And therefore when Allah says, La tabdila li khalqillah, Allah's creation does not change, the implication is that the sun will continuously rise from the east and set in the west. That's the implication of what is in the Quran. And so if there's a hadith which says that Dajjal will cause the sun to rise from the west, it cannot be understood literally. Those who want to understand it literally, that's your choice. I reject that. You do not have to accept my views. No, you can continue to believe that one day the sun is going to go opposite, or the moon, the earth is going to revolve opposite direction, and all that nonsense. If you want to believe in that nonsense, I'm not stopping you. Go ahead and believe. NASA will continue giving you evidence to support the view that the earth is going to revolve in a different direction and then the sun is going. Yes, if you want to accept that stuff, go ahead, accept it. But why should I have to accept it? No. I have said that a literal explanation is impossible because it will be in conflict with the Quran. And therefore it is a symbolic or metaphorical explanation. And therefore there will come upon the world a false sunrise. And that false sunrise will come from the West. And that is modern Western civilization. Okay? Then of course they'll come after me. Oh, but when the sun rising from the west, no more Tawbah after that. Okay? Well then, perhaps you might want to continue, go back, leave me alone and go back with your nonsense, and I don't have to convince you that the sun is going to rise, that there's going to be a western sunrise. If you want to believe in that, go ahead and leave it. Leave me alone. Leave me alone with your nonsense. Go ahead. I don't need you. I don't need you. And I have no problems at all in your accepting the nonsense that one day the rotation of the earth is going to change and the sun is going to literally rise from the west. I have no problem with that nonsense. If you want to accept that nonsense, why don't you please accept it and leave me alone? I have more important things to do than pay attention to nonsense.
In 2015, during Hajj time, a crane collapsed inside Masjid al-Haram, killing 111 people and injuring 394. And then thousands of people died in Mina. Are these signs of the coming of Imam al-Mahdi?
I don't think I have any capacity to connect this with Imam al-Mahdi. No, somebody else more learned than me will have to answer that question, yeah.
Saudi Arabia's powerful Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman wants to reform Saudi Arabia into moderate Islam. His government arrested several princes over anti-corruption, and they bombed Yemen, aided Syrian rebels, cut ties with Qatar, and has recently accused Turkey and Iran of being part of a triangle of evil. What is Prince Salman's main agenda?
No, first of all, I want to take up the term moderate Islam. And I want to translate that for you in the English language. What is moderate Islam? And this is an explanation of the term moderate Islam that will please all those who manage and control the affairs of the masajid. You know, the management committee that controls the masjid? Yeah, this is the explanation for them. Moderate Islam is that Islam that will allow you to keep your name off the no-fly list. Moderate Islam is that Islam where no one will say you are a terrorist. Moderate Islam is that Islam in which you do not insist that a woman must cover her head with hijab. Moderate Islam is that Islam in which a man can shake hands with a woman. Yes. And if you refuse to shake hands with a woman, that is called radical Islam. So take your moderate Islam and put it back in the garbage bin from where it emerged in the first place. Islamic scholarship don't use this rubbish as terms. Islamic scholarship does not accept terminology from people who are waging war on Allah. On Allah, they're waging war on Allah. So we do not use this rubbish term of moderate Islam. The scholars from Oxford University, of course, they can continue to use this terminology of moderate Islam and radical Islam. But the true scholar of Islam will not betray Allah and His Messenger. What we say is there are Muslims who are true Muslims, and then there are part-time Muslims. That's the terminology we will use. Okay? And so, we do not want to accept terminology which will program us to talk and to think and to act in a manner consistent with the programming designed by our enemies. That's moderate Islam.
Rohingya Muslims are facing the worst genocide in recent history. Men, women, children are being slaughtered, burnt alive. Along with the villages, women and children are being raped by Myanmar army and Buddhists. Those that have managed to escape have all fled to Bangladesh. Some are stuck in no man's land. We have now more than 1 million Rohingya Muslims in Bangladesh, which include thousands of children whose parents were killed, thousands of women who are pregnant because they were raped by Myanmar army. Some of them now have HIV. My uncle went to the Rohingya camps and he saw with his own eyes. Also, one of my friends who is a journalist who works for a Bangla news channel. Young Rohingya men carried their disabled parents from Myanmar to Bangladesh. As far as I know, every journalist, aid worker, ordinary people who went there in the Rohingya camps cried their eyes out. Why is this happening to Rohingya Muslims?
The answer is Gog and Magog. Allah spoke in the Quran and He says, Inna Ya'juja wa Ma'juja mufsiduna fil ard. That Gog and Magog will perpetrate fasad on earth. Our great-grandparents, our ancestors had to crawl on the earth before the British imperial masters. They had to go down and bend their knees and their hands like animals to start to crawl before a British imperial master and lord, because they insisted on that. So the war on our people has been continuing for a long, long time. The same kind of rape and plunder and killing and massacre that's taking place in this part of the world compares with the impoverishment of the masses around the world through riba. And our people are suffering, they are in destitution. Masses all around the world. Do not study the Rohingya subject in isolation. No. There are massacres taking place so many other parts of the world, they just don't mention it. And there is suffering, including the Palestinian people in Gaza, who are now on the verge of collapse. And our Prophet told us that these things will happen. We don't have to look for an answer why, because the Quran told us why it's happening. In fact, there's more to come. The Arabs are going to be destroyed. This is the Rohingya. What is coming to the Arabs is worse. So are you going to ask me tomorrow, why are the Arabs suffering like this? Yeah? This is what the Quran has said, and said this is Gog and Magog. Now those who are resisting Gog and Magog, we at least have some credentials. We are having some credentials that we are looking forward to the day when we can protect our people when Imam al-Mahdi comes, inshallah, and we regain power in the world, the Khilafah state is restored. But what about those who wage their bogus jihad in Syria? Taking weapons from Saudi Arabia, which is hand in glove with the Gog and Magog world order. And then they want to condemn me, saying that I am supporting Assad. And Assad is a dog, and Assad is a cat, and Assad is a louse, and Assad is this, and Assad is that, and Assad and the other. And you are supporting Gog and Magog. You are hand in glove with Gog and Magog. You are taking weapons from the CIA. You are taking American dollars to wage your bogus jihad, and you want to have me say you are people worthy of respect. I say to you, you are not Muslims.